Okay, Elizabeth, go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I
Good
had
morning.
wanted to be with you, and it was the plan, but I have a daughter who had surgery, and so I'm supporting her. And so I'm in the Pacific Northwest and not with you. Um, I'm honored to be with you. My background is not military. I'm one of those grateful civilians who raised my children in this lovely little bubble of peace because of those who were serving. Um, my background, so sorry, it's I come to this work with a different background. My background is also personal finance professionally. That's where I spent the first part of my career, and that's where I continue to do some work. But overall, what it's developed into is work on soul care. I now create and have for the past 20 years create resources to help people tend to their spiritual well-being, which a lot of you probably know, then feeds into that emotional well-being space. It's one way to come at it, and I think there was some discussion yesterday. And I apologize if there's things that I don't reference that you discussed yesterday. I'm able to watch a little bit online, and I will catch up with all of the sessions later when the recordings come out. But I'm not able to fully participate in the way that I had hoped. But spiritual well-being we discussed a little bit where I was present yesterday is one of the ways that we can come and combat moral injury. 20 years ago, I had two supernatural experiences, one in 2004 and one in 2005, which led me to here where I am with you today. The first thing that happened in 2004 was that I knew I was a writer. I'd done a little bit of work with music, but not a lot. And I had friends spontaneously pray over me to start developing new worship songs at that time is what I called them. I now have coined the term song prayers because I don't think we want to box things into just the worship praise genre, the contemporary worship genre that's been more used the past 30 or 40 years. And we need to also realize that Psalms in the Bible were probably the first song prayers, songs that are prayers and also hymns. There's a lot of different genres that we can look at. So I had these friends who prayed over me in 2004 in February to begin hearing songs in heaven that God wanted released on the earth. And I'd composed a little bit, but the next day I started composing in earnest and started writing these songs. I didn't know what they were for. I just thought we were going to use them a little bit. I couldn't play them. I'm not a great singer in terms of what you would measure in society's terms. I like to sing, and I definitely like to pray. So a year later, I was continuing to compose new songs. I had composed a song for the military. That was not an expected thing. I had told God there needed to be some type of a song for the current war on terror that helped the troops connect with the fact that there's a spiritual battle involved here, that this isn't just a practical war, that there's a spiritual war as well. And I asked him to have somebody else write it. And 10 minutes later, I heard a song running around in my head and I knew what it was. So I captured it. I recorded it in a little digital recorder and I noted the lyrics. So I had that song and I had mailed it to the President of the United States and said, do something with it. And he'd sent me a thank you note. But what you learn in life is that the assignment you've been given is yours to walk out. You need to do the work and get things where they need to go. So in February of 2005, I was at my children's school. All my three children were in school. I was introduced to a young man who was deploying to Iraq as a Marine and asked if I'd pray for him. The answer was yes. And I turned to go back to my car, walked past the softball field I've walked past a million times before, and I had an open eye vision. And it was of a group of troops marching in a desert. And you need to understand, I don't have visions every day. This was my life. This was a life transforming event for me. So I saw a group of troops marching in a desert. I'm not military, didn't know what branches they were. I saw a canopy fall from heaven and cover them, hovering over them, flat topped. It moved with them as they walked, as they marched. It covered them down to their knees. And I got a message. And if you have tried to listen to God before, I don't know if it's this way for you, but it is for me. The you kind of get a whole paragraph in a second. It kind of all just kind of embeds into you in an instant. And so the basically the context of what I received was very clear was if you will get this patriotic song and some of the new worship songs, so the new songs over there. I didn't know what over there meant. I could imagine because it looked like a desert. If you get them over there, I will be their covering. I will hem them in before and behind. I will be the banner over them, and I will shine my light in the dark places so the enemy is found. I could have invented all that. Maybe I did, but it is that vision and it is those prayers that I start composing that has brought me to you. And a philosophy of life when I came back to Christ and was overwhelmed as a financial advisor working full time with three little babies at home, and I couldn't get it all done. And I surrendered my life to the Holy Spirit and said, just tell me what to do, and I'll do it. And that's what I continue to live out. So I walk out very crazy, what seemed like crazy things, but they brought me to you. I did not plan to do a doctorate. I did not plan to go to a recording studio and do songs. I didn't plan any of this. This is all just step by step walking out where it's been. So what I bring to you today is where I never knew I was going to be, and that is over the past 20 years, I've developed over. I'm in the process of working on my 28th album of song prayers. They each have a different theme. I just released my 22nd album called God in Darkness on all the streaming platforms on September 2nd uh, towards Suicide Awareness Month. Um, these song prayers talk to God like David talked to God in the Psalms. And I didn't know what they were going to do. I just was composing what I kind of was hearing. I ended up at a professional recording studio and they helped me arrange and put these together. I am the singer on it, but I'm just offering my prayers, right? And asking God to use them to help other people. Each album, its own playlist. And what I started finding as I developed one album after another, which seemed like a crazy thing to do, was that as I worked on those albums, I was changed. I come from a background that I didn't recognize. So I'm 65, and in my 50s, God uncovered to me on this journey that I struggle with self-hatred. And it wasn't until my 60s, working on my doctorate, that I came to understand that that self-hatred was not self-made. That self-hatred came from emotional abuse that I had been incurring through my family of origin my entire life. So I noticed that I was being transformed. My thoughts were changing. My well-being was improving. My connection with God was improving, which changed how I saw my life and I saw others around me through listening repeatedly to the albums. But I also noticed people around me did as well. Now, I did ship until they stopped having CD players, right? To troops over 12,000 copies of different albums. And I work a lot with Gold Star families, a lot with people who are dealing with grief, wounded warriors and their families, veterans. Um, so I have reached the military with some of these tools. But what I bring to you today is the fact that as I saw us transforming those who were close to me, right? Um, then the question became I could make sense of that theologically, but was that a thing scientifically? And so I felt led to enroll in a doctoral program, didn't care about a degree, really just wanted to do this research study. So I did a study that studied the influence of listening to song prayers on the resilience and well-being of women veterans. I had the women listen, and that's what my book is about. It'll give you the theological background. It'll give you how this has historically been a thing forever. But it will also tell you about my study, which is where I had women veterans. It's a qualitative study. I wanted a lot of emotion and a lot of detail, where they listened to song prayers for 20, playlist I gave them. I did a pre-listening period interview, one-on-one with each of them, to get to know them better. Then gave them a prescriptive playlist of song prayers for them. I had them listen. They could listen to any order of the songs. They could exclude some, they could include some, they could repeat some, whatever fit. They could be doing something. They could be cooking or they could be cleaning or they could be driving their car or riding a bicycle, but no activities that involve their mind. They couldn't be engaging in emails or using their mind for other things. They had to let kind of soak in it and let the music kind of go in and let offer the opportunity for God to do his work. And so they listened for 20 minutes a day minimum for 28 consecutive days. They kept track of their emotional well-being on a scale of 1 to 10 before they started every day and when they finished every day. And then we did an exit interview as well to kind of see what had happened. And basically, for each of the women, they each had they have very private issues. We're all individuals. And they had very private experiences of God coming in and addressing some of their issues. No one went backwards. Everybody went forwards in terms of their emotional well-being and resilience. And God reframed things for them because this is one of the things that happens when you create a space to meet with God is that God kind of works on your brain to begin to allow you to reframe things. The research shows that if you're going to build resilience, which is what's subjective well-being is not going to get you through what you need to get through, as some of you know, because you're going to feel bad, right? You're going to need to develop that resilience that's going to allow you when times are tough to stay in there. We need people to stay with us in it, right? And so that resilience comes through a reframing, finding meaning and purpose, and being able to reframe things as they happen. And this happens in encounter with God. I'm beginning now to study the neuroscience of it. And the neuroscience backs this up as well, as does the science on music listening. So there was just I don't want to interfere with the time for the next speaker. This is where that comes from. It's been a profound finding. The songs that I've created we're making more and more readily available. I have an app. It's on for both of the phone stores. It's called Eagle's Nest, Soul Care, Song Prayers. And I have audio instructions on how to do it, and all but the latest two albums are on that app. The app is still in the process of being developed. We're putting together beta groups where people want to start a listening focus, where we can pick one of the albums, and those who are interested or can join in and do a 30-day focus. I have several. I'm developing. For this, the right brain, left brain connection to reconnect the parts of the brain. I'm also developing journals that have 30 vignettes for each album of what those songs are about and where I was in my process as I developed them, and then a guided a guided journal. Here, note how you feel before you start. Note how you feel now. Here's a place to doodle today. So those are coming out in the next few months. It'll take me a while to develop 22 of them. The music is also under my name on Spotify. I have a YouTube channel with almost 500 videos that includes not only the song prayers themselves, but I've also started doing what I call soul care pauses. So those are just a 1 minute guided meditation looking at nature and with nature sounds, and they come up weekly. And then I have 60-second soul care, 60-second soul care, which are messages where I'm speaking and conveying something. For instance, last week's was on shame and how shame is never from God. A week before it was on a baby knows no self-disdain, right? We acquire this is impressed upon us. These are all to help people. One of my issues was because so I'm bringing you the song prayers and I'm bringing them as a tool to bring people in this liminal space to push out the other thoughts and let God really do the work that he does in a great way. But because of my journey with self-hatred, I've also written a book that I don't know that Dan knows about, but I felt like after listening yesterday, it's called Learning to Love, Not Loathe Me. And so I literally published the story of how God led me through an inner healing uh, from my self-hatred that I didn't know I had, because I felt it was super important for people to know that the thoughts they hold against themselves are not normal. I thought mine were normal. I didn't know I hated myself, and I thought that they were true. And so I've written this book in order to help people. If they come along with my story, they find their own story. And to also, I talk a little bit about emotional abuse in there and how to recognize it. So you realize you didn't you can come and that you didn't do this to yourself. It's kind of been put upon you by how things have happened in your life, and there is a way out. So again, a lot of tools towards hope, a lot of tools towards opening the door to creating a space with God and being in that space. And
Okay. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. I really appreciate it. Can you repeat the name of the name of the app real quick, if you would?
yeah, it's Eagle's Nest. It's the name of my nonprofit is Eagles Nest Foundation.
Eagles Nest.
Soul Care,
Okay.
Song
Soul
Prayers,
Care.
right?
Okay.
You can listen there.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Elizabeth.
And I'll be in and out the next couple days, but I will catch up.
Okay.
Thank you so much for the conference.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. So now what we're going to do is, we have, so just take a couple minutes for each of the sponsors, given our, Volunteers of America, who, who else is? Yeah, Patriot Support. If you could just come up a couple minutes and just talk about your services, what you do, what's available for folks. And we can start with Patriot Support would be great.
Well, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
I'm Angie Shelton. I am a regional account manager with Patriot Support. Basically, I serve as a liaison for the military training facilities as well as the VAs. We have a lot of behavioral health facilities across the U.S. About 19, well, we're down to 17 now that are Patriot Support facilities that are strictly for active duty and veterans. They have military only units. And then we have right now currently 6 Patriot Support child and adolescent facilities for the military families. So we provide an array of services across the behavioral health spectrum, substance abuse, and I'll get more into detail on that when I present tomorrow. I don't want to, throw too much at you right now, but I'll get more into that tomorrow in our presentation. But we're basically providing services for our military. Where are you located? I am located in North Carolina. That is my home base, but I travel. So basically the states that I cover now currently has just changed. I used to cover Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. Now I cover Iowa, Kansas, Nebraska, Illinois. So we're divided. It's about 12 of us. So we're divided into regions. So I have booklets over in the building across the way that explains and shows which every regional account manager and which region they have. So you can see the list of the states that point of contact will help you. Any other questions? Before you're done? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, good.
Hello, everyone. We're here on behalf of Volunteers of America, which is a service providing organization started in 1896 by the Booth family, which is the same family as Salvation Army. So we're the stateside version of that of the family that is serious. And we have an affiliate system. So in most states, we have an affiliate office that offers services to veterans, women, children, people that are homeless, and people who are reentering society after incarceration. And we're here representing the Shea Moral Injury Center, which started in 2017. It's named after Dr. Jonathan Shea, and our founding director is Rita Nakashima-Brock, who wrote the book Soul Repair. And in 2017, one of the first pilot projects that the center undertook was this program called Resilience Strength Training, which is a 50 hours, right, 10-week retreat program for veterans. And Dr. Jonathan Shea and there were another council of folks who helped draft that program, and it's meant to be includes like meditation, art therapy, writing exercises to help veterans integrate their experiences with moral injury. And then since then, we've adapted that to various iterations, and Rita will share about one that she facilitates.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Raven. And so as Christine was just saying, we did start this in 2017. That pilot program that they did was in LA, and I was part of that group. I was part of the first group in the pilot program as a veteran that went through. And I probably said this to some of you already, but I went through and I was like, man, this is amazing. All the tools that I learned were so transformative. I wanted to be part of something bigger than myself. And so it felt purposeful. It felt like I could take these tools back home to family and friends, and it made me want to just give back to my brothers and sisters in arms. and my brothers and sisters and family and brothers and sisters everywhere. So I ended up becoming a facilitator a couple of years later, and the work that we do right now is mostly virtual. We do offer hour-long online small base groups that are confidential for veterans. We do twice a week meetings, or we offer twice a week meetings where they can come and just kind of, it's almost like I would liken it to some of you that were here on Monday, Irene, the way that she did the discussions. Yeah, except for after we do the moment of silence, that's it. We just kind of sit in that. And it may be a little bit uncomfortable, but it allows the participant that shared that traumatic experience to kind of hear what they're saying, and that's healing in that. And then we don't offer any feedback because that's the difference. We don't offer any feedback because, you know, we don't want the participant to feel judged or challenged, or we don't offer any advice or anything. They're just kind of sitting in that silence, and it's very powerful and healing because the people tend to come back week after week after week. So it's been an amazing opportunity to be able to do that. We do offer immersive training that is in person, 7 hours. It's grueling, but it's worth it, you know, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we also have an education program called MICI, which is a moral entry certificate program. So that's online, it's 10 weeks, 50 hours, and it's designed for chaplains and social workers. And we have a lot of military service people also who join. And it's a more foundational program. And as Raven mentioned, like all of our programs and supports are premised on peer support.
Yeah.
So the certificate program has a practicum element as well that's peer support group based.
Yes.
So more information is at our table. We also have a lot of swag. Please take it off. Yeah, there's a good life set. Yeah, that's the hand sanitizer. But thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm trying to bring who, so,
I can go for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, please, thank you.
I'll need to stand.
I'm sorry, I need, you know, I'm like trying to do two things at once.
Here, but I can speak from my heart. Like Raven, I got involved with Give an Hour after the evacuation from Afghanistan. There was a lot of veterans and active duty military that were really scrambling to try and get their Afghan colleagues out of the country that had worked with them in the military. So that was a really big undertaking. And a lot of people went, you know, collectively days without sleep, really took on that burden themselves. And so I came to Give an Hour through finding out about the work that they were developing and trying to provide a peer support program to the people that were helping in the evacuation. So you didn't necessarily have to be a veteran in the military, as long as you were in that effort, like you were invited to that movement. So I thought it was really great. They were doing something so niche that I later came to them to try and see if they could develop something to provide the actual women that had come to the country that I had formerly trained, understanding all of their compounded trauma, wanting to put together a peer support program for them. I later became an intern for them. I also just got my MSW, so. But aside from peer support, you know, I've been facilitating for the military and veteran group. It's been hugely impactful for me. I can speak firsthand to how important it is to have that in the community. But Give an Hour is a nationally based nonprofit. They provide services throughout the country. They have other things like the ambassador program, back and back. So we support, you know, military spouses, caregivers, people that have been victims of financial fraud, like, you know, victims of school mass shootings, and sort of all man-made traumas. They provide some type of, whether it be peer support groups, or they can connect people individually to individual care within their state for a limited number of services to get them some type of immediate assistance. That's my spiel. Off the head.
Thank you. Good, I'm looking at